I was, and I says, give me all your booty or I'll be cutting your throat. And you know what? They gave me all their booty. But it wasn't the kind of booty I was hoping for.
What kind of booty was it?
Well, oh, folks, hey, look at that. Welcome now here to the Pirate Round. Another episode, and I be Captain Scotopus here. Let's be the Scarlet Raven. Now, folks, in these troubling times, I wouldn't recommend that you wash away your troubles with booze. However, we do have this fine bottle of Madeira we're pouring out.
Which we confiscated off a fine Spanish ship.
Oh, yeah. She had a fine ship. She had lots of Madeira on her. And that's why we're enjoying it. So, folks, I say to you, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Pirate Round. Happy Captain Scotopus. Goodness. This be the Scarlet Raven. And we say to you folks, thank you so much for tuning in. You're har and welcome.
You're har and welcome. Oh, that is so good.
Well, Scarlet Raven, it isn't just Madeira that we drink, it's also what? Mead. Yeah. Rum. And rum.
Grog.
Oh,
for me grog.
Right.
Jolly grog.
Right. Mead. Another.
Mead.
Another.
Mead.
Another. We also drink other stuff, and some of that stuff be port.
Now, port gets its name from the port in Portugal called Porto, or it's also called port is also called Vinho do Porto.
Vino de Porto.
Right, which is a more northern region of Portugal.
Oh.
And it's one of the second largest cities in Portugal.
There you go.
It's been a wine making region for quite a long time, and it's made from many different kinds of grapes, and you've got dries, you've got sweets, you've got whites. It's kind of a sweeter, more desserty type of wine, but it's one of those wines that was a big thing in the 17th century.
Well, they would have traveled. The captain would have had his bottles of port.
Right.
Digestives, they used to call it, but they would drink after their meals to help digest their food. Lots of alcohol to kind of thin their blood a bit. Keep them a bit liquored up for the long night ahead. Of course, your average seaman wouldn't get anything close to this. They'd get their watered down grog or groggy beer or crappy water. But the ship's officers, of course, would always get fine port, Madeira, and the like.
Now, port is a fortified wine distilled with grape spirits, usually in the Douro Valley or the northern provinces of Portugal. And it's, like I said, it's sweet, red, kind of desserty, can be white. Other countries do make port, but you'll notice if you find port, if it says port, it's probably from another country. Only Porto is from Portugal.
Porto, okay.
So you'll know that it's imported from Portugal if it says Porto. No other country, American, Argentina, or whoever who makes port cannot put Porto on their bottle. They also cannot have these special seals on their bottles, which registers it as an import from Portugal.
Well, there'd be like a lot of countries around that can grow grapes who would be wanting to make their own sort of port. Just like, in the North Americas, they've got all sorts of Zinfandels and Merlots and things, but that don't have much in relation, except for name, to the old wines of the old country.
Correct. Now, port is produced from grapes grown and produced and demarcated in the Douro region, as I mentioned. The wine produced is then fortified by the addition of natural grape spirits known as aquadente to stop the fermentation, leaving a residual sugar in the wine and a boost in alcohol content. The fortification of the spirit is sometimes referred to as brandy, but it bears little resemblance to the commercial brandies. It's then stored and aged in barrels in what they call a lodge or a cellar.
Well, now.
So we've got a couple of different ones that we've. There's another one over there.
Well, we'll try this one first.
So I was trying to empty out this thing to go.
So this one is Bin 27 Reservo Porto. Rich, vibrant, intense, fruity, full-bodied port from Fonseca Porto.
Now, the wine regions of Portugal are the Baxio Corgo, which is the westernmost zone. It's considered downstream from the river Corgo. It's centered in the municipality of Peso de Ragua. It's the wettest port production zone, receiving an average rainfall of 900 millimeters or 35 inches in annual harvest. You then have the Kima, CIMA Corgo, located upstream from the Bexio Congo. The region is centered on the town of Pinho, municipality of Alejo. The summertime averages of the temperatures there and the rain make it a little bit drier. And then you have the Douro Superior, which is the easternmost zone extending almost to the Spanish border. This is the least cultivated region of Douro, due in part to the difficulties of navigating the river past the rapids. And anyway, let's get on to a little bit.
Douro, Pinho, Porto, Poro. Remember that.
Right.
So, folks, Bin 27, Reserva Porto. Manuel Pedro Guimarães, who founded the firm in 1815, created a special port which was reserved for his family only and kept in a special bin number 27 of their private cellar. They had their own private cellar port.
Or, as they called it, what was it, the lobby?
The lobby. 5 generations of Fonseca Guimarães have maintained the quality and style of this fine reserve blend. Bin number 27 is bottled in Oporto and is ready to drink now. Unless it has been kept for some time, it should not require decanting.
Now you have different styles. You have a ruby. In that you have the reserve. You have a rose. Then there's a tawny. There's a colhita, which I believe we also talked about in the Madeira. A lot of information here. There's the Gafera. There's the white port. There's the late bottle vintage style.
So white Porto must be much different than the red. I mean,
Right.
it must be more distilled or with different grapes.
Right.
Just thinking. Well, Scarlet Raven, you're quite adept at opening bottles of booze. So go ahead and turn that one
Right,
open.
except for remember I took a fall and injured my wrist.
Oh, that's true. And of course, Bill G won't help, being he's a bilge rat. He only likes rum. Pyrate won't help because she fires a signal cannon. Polly's the lookout. She likes rum too. Now she will drink a bit of port, but not much.
Of course, our other crew is.
Our other crew staged a mutiny, and they're not around right now. Is that? Oh, look at that! I thought we need one of
That
these.
is a real cork.
I'll be darned.
This is a red.
Boy, you can smell those grapes. Holy,
So
looks like blood of the saints there.
There's we spilled some all over ours.
Twist it when you finish. There you go. Yeah, twist it up. Well, folks, Porto. Bin 27. Red as the blood of the saints, they say. And it is red as the blood of the saints, too. Let's take a look.
It's deep red. It's almost like a grape juice.
Oh, that's dark. Boy, there's nothing. There's no light that comes through that at all. Look at that. It's black.
It smells like a grape juice.
Black as sin. Rich, dark. Let's see the smell here. Woo!
This is a little bit drier.
Grapey.
Very grapey.
Very grapey. Dry, huh? They're hard. Is it possible for something to be dry and sweet at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I would say this is. Dry and sweet at the same time.
Now it's got a little bit of a bitterness,
Yeah.
but it's still sweet, and it's still very dry. It's like I don't know. It's almost like a grape juice.
It's like grape juice, but it's it's got a bit of a dryness to it. It's got a bit of a grape sort of sweetness, but there's also the alcohol in there a little bit that you can sort of taste. Let's see this again. It's woody, very grapey, sweet and dry, very pleasing.
It is.
It's fruity and sweet like a dessert. This is more like a dessert drink, I think.
Not being as sweet as sherry.
It's not as sweet as sherry. It's still very sweet, though.
It is.
Thinking of this as a digestive, something that you would drink after you eat your meal.
Right.
For dessert, of course, I think would go very well with like cream desserts or vanilla desserts or something of the sort. It's quite nice.
This is a Reserve Porto.
Yeah.
Fonseca Porto.
Yeah.
Now, the wine producing Douro region is actually the third oldest produced wine region in the world. It's only behind the Tokaj ErikB region in Hungary, established in 1730, and the Chianti in 1716. Port actually became very popular in England after the Maluthian Treaty in 1703, when merchants were permitted to import it for a low duty. World War with France deprived England their wine drinking. French wine, British importers could be credited for recognizing that a smooth, already fortified wine that would appeal to the English palate would survive the trip to London. In 1678, Liverpool wine merchant sent 2 new representatives to the Viano de Costello, north of Oporto, to learn the wine trade. While on a vacation in the Douro, the 2 gentlemen visited the abbot of Lamigo, who treated them to a very agreeable Swedish and extremely smooth wine, which had been fortified with a distilled spirit. The 2 Englishmen were so pleased with the product until they purchased the abbot's entire lot and shipped it home.
So since by fortifying it, they take the actual wine itself, which probably has a sort of a lower alcohol content, and add complete neutral grape spirits to it to boost the alcohol content up a bit. And I think that would probably help preserve it and keep it stable over time with the higher alcohol content. What do you think, Scarlet Raven?
It's not bad. I don't really like a really super dry. This is actually quite pleasant.
Yeah, it's woody in a way. Now, folks, I know a lot of people don't like red wines because a lot of them tend to be very bitter. They tend to be very strong. They tend to give you a headache if you drink too much of them. Sometimes it tends to not agree with people's stomach or such. This is very sweet, very agreeable, and very pleasant.
Port actually has a historical remedy for illness. It was believed that it would actually stop gout.
Well, I mean, if you drank lots of port and you didn't drink so much beer, I suppose that would be the case. Beer containing various different acids would sometimes inhibit circulation in the feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so port, if you drink more port, might actually help with gout, true. Gout, of course, is acid buildup in the extremities like the toes and the feet. Perhaps port instead of all that beer that the English would drink, a gallon of beer a day. Perhaps port would be better for you.
Now they say that the Prime Minister William Pitt the Younger was given port for gout as a young boy at the age of 14.
He had gout when he was 14.
Yes.
That is such an English disease, I can't imagine it.
Yep. Drink a bottle a day, according to the JN.
I wonder how long he lived.
Heavy alcohol consumption is known as an known to exacerbate gout. Yeah.
I wonder how long he lived after drinking a bottle of this a day.
That's different. Now, of course, port does not have the history behind it like Madeira or even sherry, but it is still an old wine that would have been drunk by the pirates.
Oh yeah, I think they would have gotten. I
in
think
the
they would.
Golden Age.
Yeah, they would have enjoyed their port if they could get it. I think it's good. I wonder. I'd like to taste. Now we're drinking, of course, as the mariners and the people of those days did, at room temperature. I wonder what it would be like if it was chilled, and so we'll try some chilled and we'll see how it tastes.
Yeah.
Quite good.
Do you want to try that other one while we're at it?
Sure. Well, we've got a second one.
Let's eat a cracker first to kind of kill our taste. Polly will approve of these.
This has
crackers.
been 27, and we'll try a different one.
Now, price-wise, bin 27 was the cheaper of the 2 ports that I got. Now, Polly approves of these holy wafers.
All right, now this one is called Tailored Flatgate, late bottle, vintage Porto 2014. Let me get out the Seafar glass here. Bottled by Quinta and Vineyard Bottlers Vintos S.A. Bien Gaia, Gaia, Portugal, very nice.
Gaia,
Product of
Mother Earth.
Portugal. Yeah. Taylor Flatgate, 1692. So,
Take another
thank
bottle
you.
cracker.
There's a lot more to read here. Oh, listen to this. By appointment to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, suppliers of port wine, Taylor's Port, Portugal. Wow. Well, the Scarlet Raven wants to try this other one we've got too. And this is another bottle of port.
Now, the other port was the cheaper of the 2 that I got.
Now, what was the price would you say for it? Before we got it free, of course, being pirates, but
Yes, it was free. But it had a price tag of, I think the other one was around $15. I think this was around $20, $25.
ah, okay.
Now, there were some other ones that I stood and looked a long time on Headship and all the ones that they had, and I decided we'll try these 2. And they both had ratings on them, so that's what I went with.
Okay.
There were ones with higher ratings, but they were a little bit pricier.
Well, so here's Taylor Flatgate, late bottled vintage Porto.
What do you mean?
Flatgate. The floodgates! Open the floodgates! Bottled vintage Porto 2014. And there's an interesting little tag on here that says, by appointment to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, suppliers of port wine, Taylor's Port, Portugal. And we go in the back, and here's our story. Taylor Flatgate, late bottled vintage Porto. Late bottled vintage was developed as an alternative to vintage port for more formal occasions. Produced from wine from a single harvest, it shares the heritage and the complex, rich, fruity character of a classic Taylor Flatgate. I'm going to screw that up every time. Vintage. However, the longer time spent in large oak vats means that it's ready to drink when bottled and needs no decanting.
Kind of what drew me to this was first of all this emblem here,
Oh yeah, that looks nice.
and then
Oh yeah, it's on the bottle.
yeah, it's also on the
The
bottle.
4XX, 1692. Well, Scarlet Raven, you're best at opening booze bottles. Let's see what you can do.
I am. Give me my cutlass.
You want a cutlass? Do you have to cuddle it? All right, pair it up. If you can't get it, Bill G can gnaw it open. Oh, get it, Bill G. You can get him there.
Bill, where are you going? Oh, he doesn't want it.
He's a rum rat. Okay, he got it.
I think you got it.
Mad though. Goodness, that rat. He won't let us forget. He won't let us live it down.
He said I had a little fall and injured my wrist. So my wrist is injured.
Good Lord, black as a saint's blood. I wonder if all port's like that.
No, some of it's white.
Really, let's try some of that white port.
I'll have to try and find some white port.
Ah, it's dark.
That is. It's as dark as grape juice.
I gotta say, folks, actually, I'm a lover of darker colors. The Scarlet Raven can attest to that. I love darker blues, darker greens, darker reds. And when I hold that up to the light, it's the richest, darkest, beautiful red
Reddish purple.
that you've seen. A little bit like, if you remember the movie Gone with the Wind, when Scarlett O'Hara pulled down the curtains and made her dress. It's almost something like that.
It's dark.
Here we go.
You're hard.
Your heart, folks. We so appreciate you for watching.
Now this one's a little bit sweeter, but it's also Not astringent.
This one's oakier.
Yeah.
This one's oakier. This one's a little bit drier. It's got a sweet that punches you first in the mouth, and then the oaky follows afterwards. It's a little more complex. It's a little more complex.
Also 20% alcohol.
Yeah. Careful how much of this you drink, folks.
Those are both good.
It's got that oaky tannin smell, which isn't disagreeable.
It's not got the grape smell to it.
It's a great smell, but it's an oaky tannin grape smell.
That leaves a dryness on the back of the palate.
But this is a bit different than the Bin 27.
While they're close, I think this one's a finer one.
Yes, this one reminds me a little bit more of brandy.
Yeah.
It's got more of that complex fruit taste with a little bit of the oak in there, and so it's sweet, but dry also. I would tend to favor this because it is slightly less sweet.
Yes. And it's not over the top bitter dry like a lot of red wines.
No. It's got no relation at all to something like Merlot or any of those bitter wines. This has got no relation.
That's good.
This is utterly drinkable. That's interesting. Well, that's not quite bad.
I like that.
You definitely wouldn't want to drink a lot of it. I think it would overwhelm you if you did.
I think after dinner.
After dinner, I would think maybe with a dessert, maybe with a nice almond or vanilla flavored dessert or a cheesecake, it would be very good.
That's good. Never drank much port.
I haven't either.
Actually, I'd never had port before at all.
Well, I've heard people talk about it.
So a confession. I'd never had Madeira. Madeira was one of those things that I'd heard about, but I never drank. Cork. And this also has a real cork.
Oh, look at that. Quality.
And I'd never had sherry. When I had wine, typically I would drink like a Moscata or a Zen or something like that.
Yeah. The table wines, essentially
Right.
whatever people are pouring out, I mean, the first time I ever drank wine, and this will set me back a few years here. This is actually an interesting story. Out of character here. Back in the late 70s, they tried to start a wine and grape industry in Texas. And they thought, well, Texas is hot and sometimes dry. Maybe it's a lot like Spain. Maybe we can grow these grapes here and we can have some wine. Well, there's something with the soil in Texas. I don't know what it is, but the wine produced there, at least at that time, and it's probably matured now, probably those vines have matured and maybe they're better, but at that time, those wines were like pouring vinegar down your throat. They really were. They were unpalatable.
Now, the same goes with Colorado. Colorado has started its own wine now.
Yeah.
And there's one here locally called Tin Bears, which the captain approves of. The ex-captain, Bartholomew, and Bernie quite approve of.
I remember the Tin Bear.
But those, yeah.
So,
But this is good.
the first bottle of wine I had was one of these. I think it was supposed to be a Zinfandel, and it was a Texas grape Zinfandel.
And a white Zin can be quite good.
Well, this was not. This was like something that the smell was raunchy as hell. Now that I think about it, probably had cork tape. The aftertaste you taste for hours, and it was a bitter, raunchy wine. And I've never developed much of a taste for wine, mainly because of that. I'm just not a wine drinker.
Now, let me ask you, of the four, but the three types of wine, Madeira, Sherry, and Porto, which ones do you prefer in order?
Well, I like Madeira a lot. Madeira is good. Madeira is that nice balance between sweet and dry.
Almost like a mead.
It tastes a lot like a lot of our favorite meads that we get from Hunter's Moon. Tastes like their berry meads, and I'm really, I really
strong
like,
advocate of Hunter's Moon.
yeah, I really kind of bear on the side of meads. I like Madeira. I'll drink a lot of Madeira. I like it a lot. I like this port.
This is port.
I like this port.
This is Madeira.
And that, yes, that's right.
And we do have a couple other Madeiras we're going to be trying in the future.
Yeah. I like this port. There's something about it. And it's sweet but dry. I wouldn't want to drink a lot of it.
No.
But I think if you tried it, if you tempered it a bit, if it was cool, and you tempered it a bit with a nice fine dessert, I think it would be a great drink. A nice glass with a couple ounces in there would be fine. Now, my problem with sherry, I think sherry is oversweet to me. I don't like stuff that has that heavy sweetness that you just can't, that cloying sweetness that you just can't get rid of, that taste.
Now, the sherry that we opened, I and somebody else, I drank the majority of it, and the captain had a few sips of
I had
it,
a sip.
but we had some friends on into our ship here not long ago, and I gave her a glass, and she rather liked it. She remembers sherry growing up. She said it was her grandmother's favorite drink.
Well, I can see that. I mean, my mother drank blackberry brandy a lot. There's nothing wrong with that. Drinking sherry, it's fine. It's just a little too sweet for me. I don't like drinks that are overly dry, but I don't like them to be overly sweet either.
Right.
Just like I like my meads to be tempered a bit in their sweetness so that they're not overly sweet.
Right. It's not like you're sucking on a spoonful of sugar.
No, I mean, or like a big thing of honey, fruit flavored honey. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that the sweetness can be overwhelming.
Yep.
I don't know. I think this is good. I think it's not my favorite. I do like Madeira.
Yeah, the Madeira, this is our second bottle.
Yeah,
This
rainwater. It's good stuff.
Which is really good. Highly recommend that.
But when it comes to port, wow, that is a sticky bottle. When it comes to port, I mean, if you're going to contemplate the difference, Bin 27 is sweeter, a little less complex.
It's not bad.
Taylor Floodgate is a little more oaky, a little more intense.
A little drier.
But to be honest, it doesn't taste a whole lot different. So if this one is $20 and that one's $50, buy the $20
Right,
one.
but if there's a $5 difference.
Yeah, if there's a $5 difference, buy the Taylor. But if like your liquor store has this for $38 and this one for $20, buy this because it's not a whole lot different, to be honest.
Right.
The flavor is pretty much the same. The texture, the color, everything in it's pretty much the same. This is just a little more complex, but it's not going to be something you're going to notice.
That's good. I like that. All right, we'll be wrapping this up.
Yeah.
But before we wrap this up, I want to say that the IPC, or International Pirate Community, is going to be releasing their female pirate deck of cards for the year of the women pirates. And yours truly is the Ace of Spades. And I picked that for numerous reasons.
Lemmy.
Hell to Lemmy. Lemmy's got a special place in my heart. The Ace of Spades, the Ace of Spades. And little do people know that the Ace of Spades is actually the top card in the deck. Even though it's considered, it might be low, it's actually the most powerful card.
Killed by death.
Killed by death. It's actually part of the dead man's hand. Aces and eights.
Aces and eights.
Right.
So that's for the international pirate community, and we are very proud here at the Pirate Round to call ourselves part of the international pirate community, folks. We're here in North America, a long ways from the ocean, but we still have the pirate spirit in our hearts.
Yes.
And we think we live pirate, and we think pirate, and we consider ourselves part of the pirating group and our pirate history. And we would like to say thank you so much to folks like Bayless Brooks and our other authors that we like.
Let's see, who else was there? There's Bayless Brooks, there's Benderson Little.
Benderson Little, we thank you so much for that. Mike Hawthorne.
Mike Hawthorne.
This is a special shout out for Mike Hawthorne. If you happen to be around Mike, we would pour out some Madeira for you. Hopefully, to our pirate captain friends, Captain Shinbones, Captain, who's the gentleman in Florida we like so much?
Oh, River Pirate 13.
River Pirate 13. We can perhaps look at some rums.
We're trying to work on
wine.
doing some live things with
True.
with River Pirate, and hopefully we'll be doing that soon. We're just trying to figure out the logistics and how to, and the equipment and everything to do it, to do some live, or even just recording some. There's Captain Turner.
Captain Turner, we miss you greatly.
Captain Sangre, who has yet to grace us.
No, but
Then
we would
there's
love to have him.
Michael Sheridan,
Yep.
who is Colorado's top Captain Jack Sparrow
Impersonator.
Plus, he's a fine musician with his band, Wind Over Tide.
Wind Over Tide, folks. Check them out if you can. Wind Over Tide.
Hopefully,
Great
we'll
thing.
get them on sometime in the
It
future.
would be great if we would have Wind Over Tide here singing a song as we sampled our rums and wines
And talk to them.
and talk
But
to them.
anyway, enough rambling.
Yep.
We're gonna send you out with a little Madeira.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you for watching.
And
And
folks, these are very difficult times for all of us, for myself and the Scarlet Raven, for the world we live in, the country we live in, the people we live with. It's very difficult times. Remember, folks, you're not alone. We're with you here in the pirate community and here with all our friends. You're not alone. We're going to make it through this, folks. And when we do finally make it through it, we're going to have the world's biggest party, the world's biggest bonfire, the world's biggest cannon shoots, the world's biggest wine drinking and rum snuggling, as much as we can, folks. We miss you all. We miss all the pirate people. We miss our pirate fests. Until when it comes around, remember, folks, protect your friends, protect yourself, wear your masks, and never forget that you be a pirate.
think of it as a sleeve instead of giving somebody to a child. You're keeping yourself away from
True.
the COVID child.
True. So there you go, folks. Your har,
Your heart, smooth sailing.
smooth sailing, and we miss
Thank you for watching.
What did you think about that port?
It's good. This port is good. I like this port better than that port. But like you said, you know, for the price of $5, okay, this you'd go with this one.
Yeah.
$10, yeah, $15, you might go with that because there's not a whole lot of difference.
I mean, this one is like pointed to the Queen Elizabeth II. But to be honest, it's not worth the money different from that one because that one essentially tastes just like that one.
Yeah.
You know, there's just a little bit
Little
of
drier,
little
not
drier,
quite as
little more
sweet.
complex, but not radically different than something from
It's
another.
not like going from cheap rum to like a bamboo. Or
Yeah, it's
Kirk and
not the
Sweeney.
difference between like Captain Morgan and Kirk and Sweeney. That's a difference.
Yeah, you definitely want to spend the extra money there.
Yeah, this is more like something else.